So, good evening,
Hello.
California, and good morning, Philippines. And
Good
again, we are
morning.
here. We are Ménage, Trois, and I'm Julie. And introduce yourselves.
My name is Sky.
I'm Pau.
Yes, and today's topic will revolve around vulnerability and courage. And himayin-himayin natin siya. Kasi ang vulnerability, minsan yung ibang mga tao, iniisip nila na 'pag vulnerable yung tao, weak daw yung tao. Ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng vulnerability for you? What is vulnerability for you guys?
Um, ano siya? With consent. Uh, well, this is just my yung meaning, yung
Yes.
definition ko para sa sarili ko. Ano siya, consent
Mhm.
na how much information ang pwede mong i-share sa isang tao na
So, parang
pinagkakatiwalaan mo.
boundary. It comes with
Yeah,
boundaries, kumbaga. Yeah, very good point. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And ikaw
And
nun?
for me, being vulnerable, like I work in a hospital and I see sick people every day. And for me, that's how I view vulnerability. You are helpless, wala kang magawa. Mahina ka physically, may sakit ka, and you need help sa lahat ng bagay. Just to get out of bed, kailangan mo ng tulong. So,
Mm,
I see vulnerable people every day, and
Yes.
sometimes syempre ano din siya, it also weighs on you in some shape or form. But every time I do step into a room, like you always have to be strong, I
Yes.
guess, when you're in a state of vulnerability, but also empathize with others with the state that they're in. Yeah.
Yes, because yung vulnerability, the definition, if we go to a dictionary's term, the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally, something that has to do with you're open to attack or harm. So,
mm,
parang ganun nangyari yung pagiging vulnerable. And being in that situation, I think lahat naman tayo napupunta sa vulnerable situation. I believe walang exception. Lahat ng tao exposes themselves to a vulnerable situation.
Mhm.
Kahit, di ba, more than once in their life. And kayo ba, meron kayong mga na-experience na you felt very vulnerable? Like for me, as simple as performing sa gigs,
Mhm.
I feel vulnerable. I feel like when I perform, I'm giving a part of me that
mm,
is open to criticism. And it's the only thing that can keep my mind off that is when I'm going with the flow, when I'm in the zone of what I'm really doing. So I have to be passionate. So when it comes to like my music and arts, I have to be passionate to overcome the vulnerable side of somehow feeling na but the not all criticism matters naman talaga. So for you,
mm.
Paula, ano yung mga experiences mo? Vulnerable experience.
Um, I think it's the same with you when I'm performing on stage. I open myself up to uh, critics,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and but I would, because before I enter, before going on stage, I would pray, and I would just just Lord, just guide me, help me just deliver this story. So, yun, parang yung, kasi with prayer, kasi before performing, that is my way of putting my mind in peaceful mode na parang, okay, nagdasal na ako, all I need to do is I just need to do my part, and I hope I could justify the story and the character. Yun. Tapos pag nag-enter na ako ng stage, I just let it out na parang this is the story. Pero nandun pa rin yung yung vulnerability na oh my God, ano kaya yung did they get the joke or
Mhm.
did they get the story? So alam mo yun,
Yes. Oo.
maraming ganun na nangyayari. But yeah, but I just okay, you've done your part, you've prayed, you're good. So yun yung self-assurance naman sa
Sa
akin.
sarili mo, yes,
Yeah.
and that's how you
Mm-mm.
overcome that.
And I
Yeah.
think, coming off to what Pao mentioned,
Mm.
prayer is a very big part of my life.
Mm.
It's like you, it's just my source of strength in the morning. having a moment of silence, having a moment of peace in your heart before you start bombarding yourself with the the stress of the day.
Yeah.
The first thing I do when I wake up is usually find yourself, find your center, because I have to always be on my toes, on my
Mm,
feet, like in
Yes.
what I do every day.
yeah.
I have my own struggles, but when
Mhm.
when I step into the hospital, I just put the whole suit on of strength and of courage, because I have to meet all these people who are in a vulnerable state,
Yes.
and I have to impart strength and hope and wisdom. And I always come to work full, like we're all a cup. Like I would always look at myself as a cup, and you can't give what you don't have. So if your cup is empty, what do you give? There's nothing to
Mm,
give. So I always ensure that my cup is full. And through prayer, through worship, through meditation, through exercise, through self-care, I am able to refill my cup every day. Sleep, diet, exercise, all those good things for the wellness of my physical body. My cup is always full, and that's what I bring to work every day. That's what I bring to the table. And I hope that, in hopes that all of us will make it a point to, during our times of weakness, always try to look inside yourself
mm,
and find your
Yeah.
strength from within.
Yeah, because
mhm.
ano, in reality naman, when we're in a vulnerable situation, sometimes we also go to the point that we just feel, yun nga, like what Sky was mentioning, helpless. She
Yeah.
mentioned that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Vulnerability for her is being in a state of helplessness. So, but ultimately, we need to help ourselves, even if other people will try and help us. Tapos,
Mm-hmm.
hindi naman natin gagawin yung part natin. There's really no improvement. There's no long-term
Yeah.
improvement at all. Um, but some people, they feel like when you're in a vulnerable situation, you're also showing weakness. Let's say, as vulnerability as simple as, let's say, your loved one died.
Mm-hmm.
Someone you really are close with died. So that's a very, very vulnerable situation because you're hurt. And pain and pleasure kind of goes together, because the presence of this person gives you so much pleasure. This person is really, you feel like this person has been so good to you. And then it
Mm,
suddenly disappears. That person dies. So you feel a lot of pain and you're so vulnerable to that pain because, when you love someone, it takes vulnerability also because that's how you love someone. You open yourself up also. You get what I mean? But when you're in a state of vulnerability wherein the tables turn around and then everything is just in chaotic mode, and then um like it's hard. It's so easy to say that yes, uh like we have to start from within, which is definitely absolutely true. I really agree, but it's really hard sometimes
Mm-hmm.
when you're so vulnerable but you're so deep down, the sadness, you can say.
mm,
So I think people got it wrong to define that vulnerability is weakness, because when you're actually in a vulnerable situation, you get the chance to be courageous. That's a chance you get to be courageous. And it goes hand in hand that vulnerability can somehow enhance your strength, you can say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And yun
Like level
yung,
it up.
yeah, so yun yung nagiging goal sana, or maging goal sana natin, na when we're in a vulnerable situation, um, don't think that you're weak, or don't equate it to weakness, because it is not. It is your chance to be courageous, and to be vulnerable is actually to be courageous. Kasi 'di ba pag nagmahal ka, ang daming taong takot magmahal kasi masakit, na gano'n, 'di ba, mga
Yeah.
gano'n, kasi pleasure and pain again go together.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, there's always courage to it, 'di ba? When you admit it to someone, or even when you're passionate about a certain project or a certain hobby, you're always courageous to do it over and over again. You get what I mean? And you're always exposed to that vulnerable situation. Na, yeah, I might fail today, but I'm being courageous because I love what I do. And I
Yeah.
don't think that's failure on my part because I can think of it as practice to, something like that. Like, um, what can you say about that when vulnerability is being equated to weakness
Weakness.
and then courage uh, being intertwined with vulnerability?
I
Mm,
think we have when you're vulnerable, you expose your weaknesses. I think
Yes. Where
that's
you
one
expose
thing.
your souls, your true
Yes.
self somehow, 'di ba?
So that's when you're vulnerable,
And that's when
and
people can hurt you.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I think, like you put a lot on the line, like in relationships, in marriage, you're in a very vulnerable state but every day you try to find the strength and the courage to move on. We always have bad experiences, along the way of
Yeah.
life. We have heartbreaks, we have deaths in the family, which is
We're
I
never
think that
alone. People
we're
go through that. We're never alone
yes.
somehow, even if we feel like we're so alone sometimes. We're never alone. Yeah.
I think that's a very also that's I think one thing people have to know, that they're not alone. And right now, I mean, isolation is also, I think, a hard thing, especially
yeah.
when you're vulnerable,
Yes.
being alone, pushing everybody away in,
Oo, yung
di ba?
COVID has done that to other people too, and it's kind of sad to see that um, na they start pushing people away, and
Mm-hmm.
they're getting
Mm-hmm.
used to that. And but I understand also maybe the hesitation on why they don't want to connect with other people. Maybe they have certain traumas that they just want to they need to heal from, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's keeping them from connecting to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
But,
when it comes
mm-hmm.
to vulnerability naman, I don't know if you've heard of Brene Brown, but she said something na vulnerability without boundaries is not vulnerability. So speaking of that, because I like what Paula said earlier, you were really talking about boundaries. Can you
Yeah.
say more about that? Because vulnerability, like what she said, again, without boundaries is not vulnerability. Minsan katangahan na yun. Uy, girl, share mo yung
Oh.
PIN code mo sa buong bayan. Di ba? Di ba?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Um, no, before kasi, ano like, I don't know how I came up with that kind of mindset na, yes, I can be real with someone, but I have to always put boundaries on how how much information should I give. Maybe because
so
of like my
important.
Kasi maybe I think ano like based from my past experiences, I've met people who are so toxic, and I've met people who are like na parang in the end parang this, well, they said that no regrets, but yeah, sure, no regrets, but for me, I did regret it.
So, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so because oh my gosh, like it's like a learning experience. It was a learned experience for me that when I need to share something, this
Yeah.
is me like stripping myself
Mm-mm.
to the person who I only trust. Like for example, for my with my best friend, like she knows everything about me, like all my flaws, she knows it. And with other people, like I'm very careful. I'm very very careful with what I will tell to someone versus to what I would tell to my mom or to my best friend.
Yeah.
Kasi oversharing, it's like you're stripping yourself without thinking. Kasi
Mm-mm.
you don't know the person who you just met at the grocery, like, oh hey, I'm Paul, like, oh, what
Oh, pag
last week?
bagong kilala, di ba? Like, literal. Like,
Yeah, like people are like that actually. May mga kakilala akong gano'n na, uy, okay ka lang? Why did you
like,
even di ba?
yeah.
So that's what kaya yung tingin ko with vulnerability is like it's okay to be real, to be honest with yourself. It goes hand in hand. Pero think about it
Boundaries
first.
pa rin. Boundaries
Oo.
pa rin. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I think vulnerability is a temporary state. It should be
Mm.
temporary. I mean, it's not something we should enjoy being in
And
all the time.
I think there's
For
a
me,
misconception nga for that because you're viewing it as a weakness, but
yes,
vulnerability, as simple as loving someone, is being vulnerable to someone.
vulnerable.
So it's
Like
okay
just
to
in
be
general,
vulnerable every
all the
day.
time.
Just set your boundaries on who you're being vulnerable with. Eh,
Mm.
Because
Gotcha.
because when you're vulnerable, that's when you're open to suggestions, opinions, diba? You're open to
Yeah.
whatever, like attack or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And you're not you're not looking at it in a sense na parang it's not just you're open to attack, you're also open to other options out. Like for example, that's when creativity sparks when you're
Yeah.
vulnerable. You get what I mean? Because that's um that's also the other side of vulnerability. When you become creative, that's when your connections happen.
Mm.
That's when connections happen.
Yeah.
Diba? You start being vulnerable to someone, then a connection happens.
Yeah.
But there's just talaga yung boundaries lang and like actually let's share some people are commenting. Sorry. So you get my point. So look at it on both sides of the coin and see the beauty in vulnerability because it
I
is beautiful. It is
yeah.
it is how we truly express ourselves.
Maybe I could share like a basic example of this situation.
Yes, please.
Like for sometimes when I'm on set, um, writers or director would give you the script, and then as an artist, you would try to understand the story, the arc of the character, and whatnot. So before going to the set, you already have this background of the character. Parang kumbaga, you already know the story. You know how to deliver the story to the audience. Pero pag nandun yung director, in 2 seconds, pwedeng maiba yung script, pwedeng maiba yung ending ng story. Tapos, once you take, a few takes, sasabihin ng director sa'yo na, okay, Paula, we don't like how you do it. What if you try doing this? So, parang ano yun eh, parang na yung self-esteem ba na, oh my gosh, did I say something
Mm-hmm.
wrong or did I interpret the story mali ba? Yung ganun. So nandun ako sa vulnerable state as an artist na the director, the writer, sabihin sa akin, Paolo, you need to adjust this and that. So ako, I'm open to it. I'm open with their notes. Kasi doon yung collaboration namin. And doon yung connection namin. And as an artist, that is the beauty of the process of creating a story. Kasi nag-uusap kayo. And, tapos syempre, I would suggest something or I would ask something if I don't know the word or whatnot. Pero yung weakness doon is kapag yung artist hindi makikinig sa sasabihin ng director or paminsan yung artist magwo-walk out kasi hindi nagustuhan yung ano, yung feedback or yung note. So, I guess yun yung weakness na parang hindi mo kayang tanggapin yung criticism and and on a daily basis you are not aware that part of yourself you're exposing like you're exposing a part of yourself on a daily basis. I guess hindi nga kasi din napapag-usapan madalas yung vulnerability state of a
Yeah.
human being, yung ganun. Julie, muted ka.
But going off that idea of
Um
accepting criticism,
yeah.
like I was, I had when I was in school, it was supposed
Mm,
to be a 2-year master course. I did it in
Mhm.
5 years. So it took me a while to finish that course because on my thesis I had a very, very, I took my feedback from my thesis proposal very hard. And
mm.
nag-AWOL ako for 1 year dahil doon. As in, yeah, because of that feedback, hindi ko kinayanan. So, 1 year ako hindi nagpakita sa mga professor ko. Imagine mo yun, parang because of that, I allowed 1 year to be wasted.
Mm.
But I learned a lot. Like, I learned that feedback is not to hurt you. Feedback is not to, hindi ka para siraan ka, but it's to make you a better person. And
Mm.
sometimes, that's the benefit of going through those notions of being vulnerable is for improvement in my
Yes.
situation.
Oo.
Mm.
Kumbaga nagkaroon
Yeah.
lang ng nagkaroong focus lang during that vulnerable situation because you can direct it naman to good intentions. Like, I also put that here na cannabis helps you relax and recenters you in a vulnerable situation. I agree with that because
Mm.
I'm a user and I experienced that. And di ba, Sky, somehow nga when it slows down your mind, it kind of helps you himayin yung situation. It
Yes.
kind of helps you understand the pain that you're going through, especially if that's your intention to understand the pain that you're going through. And because of that, it's easier to somehow have that balanced state. Tapos mas masisik mo na yung wisdom na gusto mong makuha talaga, na this is the way that I want it, in a sense that you're directing it to something that you perceive is good, 'di ba? And if when you're in a vulnerable situation and you align your intentions with love, compassion, understanding, the good side of the coin, basically, when you want to balance yourself. And yun nga, I think maybe that time, Sky, when you didn't take that very well, it was just because at that time, kasi ano natin yun, ego natin yun, nasaktan tayo. But nandun lang sa point na you had to process the pain, but
For
afterwards
sure.
naman afterwards
Yeah.
naman you were able to see the beauty of that vulnerable situation, na it's just a means of improvement on your part, and something that
Yes.
Mm.
shouldn't, take a toll on you so much, na parang ganun, you
Mm.
had to let it go.
Immune.
Yeah, I
Yes.
just need to
Oo.
step away from the situation for a little bit and process everything,
Yes,
you
yes.
know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sometimes that
Ganun
happens,
yun.
ganun
And
talaga, step
vulnerability
away.
pa rin, 'di ba?
Oh,
A step to growth as well.
yes.
uh,
Yeah.
'Di ba? Vulnerability is really something that's also very good. Let's direct it lang to the
Yes.
right way. Parang
To the right
in
way.
our perceptions, yes.
Oo.
Oo.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Parang daming tao sa chat.
But
ay,
yeah,
marami
but
na ba?
just to let you know, I came
Yes,
back,
please,
I
thank you
finished my
guys.
thesis, and then I
Oo,
graduated.
galing.
Just to finish the story. Binalikan
Ay,
ko sila
ano,
with a
shout out
vengeance.
muna nila. Ay, shout out pala natin sila.
Oh, hello.
Thank you, thank
Shout
you.
out daw.
Kuya Ednes, hi Kuya. Happy
Hi,
vibes to
Kuya.
all of you. Sabi niya, yes. J Reviews, hi Jonas. Good, I thank you. Good topic. And then si Arvin,
Mm.
Bacoro Francisco, hello sa'yo. And then this one, oh,
Picor
ikaw naman,
Francisco.
please. Yan.
Si
Go, Pao.
Sean. Setting your own boundaries.
Boundaries.
Ako ba?
Yes. Oo, ikaw basahin mo,
Oo.
yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Setting your own boundaries, sabi ni
Yes.
Sean Pinkman.
Si,
Yes.
eto, go lang. Si
Si
Dan.
Dan, sorry kung
Ayun nga.
ma-mispronounce ko yung last
Wak.
name mo, Chua Quiko.
Oh, yes.
Smiley, and then a heart.
Sweetheart.
Hello!
Ay, Kalisa.
Yes. And then, weirdness
Smile.
perception. Yes. Yes. And then,
Yes.
Sky, para ano, hati tayo. Ayan.
Si sabi ni Sean. Sky.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
Yes. Ako lang.
I'm a reading prompt. Yeah, we're always vulnerable. It's how you handle it. Thanks to the herb,
Yes.
Sean
On Pinkman.
Pinkman.
Yes.
Yes, thanks
Yes.
to the herb.
Ikaw pa, Sky.
In
Oh,
10th
J
place.
reviews. He says
Shoutout ko din si Sky. Alam mo yun.
intent plays a big role. That's right. Intent plays a big role.
Shoutout to you, Paula.
Yes.
Okay. Ito si Kuya
Ana.
Ed. Oh, ikaw naman, Paula.
Wow, haba.
Sige.
Joke lang. Kuya Ed, I've used that vulnerability to express my passion for growing. Ate Julie, I agree with you when you say it's perception. Oh, ano man. Perhaps my majority of society was taught vulnerability is a bad thing, but like you said, I think it's a chance to shine and show your true talent. Oo
Mhm.
nga, yung majority kasi nga naman ng society,
Oo
hindi siya
na.
masyadong inano yung
Yes.
hindi tayo masyado in-expose sa term ng vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
more so with weakness yung inaano.
Mhm.
Kasi masyadong black and white as strength. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Yung ganun ba?
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, ito naman,
So,
Mhm.
next
ayun naman.
natin.
Ah,
Si
this topic hits me hard. Ah, okay.
Okay, okay. Tapos
Yes.
guys, okay lang if I show slides of quotes from other writers, other people, and
Mm.
their description or somehow expression on courage and vulnerability. Tapos pag-usapan natin. Ayos lang?
Sure.
Mm.
Yes, okay. I'm setting it up.
Thank you sa mga
Okay.
nag-chat. Chat lang kayo.
Yes, yes, thank you. Babalikan namin kayo. Yes. And then here you go. So this is from Ernest Hemingway. So have you heard of Ernest Hemingway? He is a writer. Yeah, I've heard of Ernest Hemingway. But he said here, courage is grace under pressure. So what is your experience on that? Courage is grace under pressure. Like if I go first, I'd probably say, let's say, if I'm needed to talk like for a presentation and then I felt like it was a short notice, but I have to do it or something, then I have to feel courageous. And that for me is, grace yun, wisdom yun from the above. Like, oh, thank you. Like, help me out. And then
Mm.
like what you guys probably say when you pray, then that you feel better, something like
Mm.
that, and you feel courageous after.
Mhm.
So, with regards to not really like in the sense of praying, but more like just conversing na higher power, or you we got this, right? Thank you, or something.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think all of us the entire human race, we're all under grace.
Yes.
Lahat tayo
Yeah.
pinagpala, lahat tayo. We are supposed to be punished, but we're not. So I feel like me, I'm under grace. Like with the life I'm living now, lahat to I
Yes.
just yes. But
Yep.
if you for me, like the courage is grace under pressure. So what will you do with that grace? Will you actually
Yeah.
do something about it and step up
Oh, dun
and to
tayo sa
have
path.
the
Anong path?
courage, yeah,
Yeah.
have the courage to really umangat ka, and really find your place in this world. So do you
Yes.
have do
Mm.
you have the courage to do that and step out?
Ikaw pa. Oh.
Um, Ako naman, dami ko naiisip eh. It's more of like, okay, so whenever I get like less than 24 hours na notice na, oh, you need to submit your self-tape, yung mga ganon.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you have that experience. Oh.
Kinakausap ko agad si God na parang, kaya ko ba to? So, yung imposter syndrome ba, nandun agad sa akin. Pero inaano ko na lang na, okay, yung blinders ko nakagano na lang. Sasabihin ko, Pao, kaya mo to. Just take a breath. Ano yun?
Take a
Gawin mo lang
breath.
to, 1 hour lang.
Yes. Oo.
Gawin mo na.
Mhm.
So, alam mo yun, parang yung courage ko, dumadaan siya sa proseso na na very systematic, in a
Yes.
very organized way. Ewan ko, baka robot ako.
Pero it
Iniisip ko,
works for
okay,
Baka may
you.
OCD ka naman.
oh, feeling ko nga may OCD ako. Na parang,
Very
okay,
organized.
I need to do this. Okay, ano mo na yung gagawin ko? Try. Alam mo yung parang sobrang I'm
Oo.
talking out loud na, okay, eto na, eto na. And then, at the end of the day, wow, I did it. Like,
Yes.
sobrang saya ng feeling ko. So, so that is my, yun yung pinaka nagsa-stand out sa akin
Appreciate.
sa
Okay.
quote na to,
Yes.
yung
That's a good
audition
one.
process ko during the pandemic.
Ito naman yung next
Nagiging,
one.
OCD.
Pero ano
So,
naman
yun.
balanse? Balanse ang OCD. Ito naman kay Masaba Gupta. Embrace your vulnerability and celebrate your flaws.
And
It will let you appreciate the world around you and make you more
celebrate your
compassionate.
Mhm.
flaws.
So,
Embrace your vulnerability. Celebrate
yeah,
your flaws. It
it
will
will let
let
you
you appreciate the
appreciate the
world
world around you
around
and
you
make you
and
more
make you more
compassionate.
compassionate.
So, I guess kasi when you're
Mhm.
vulnerable, you're also
Huh.
sensing the other
Ikaw,
people
Julie,
around
ano ang
you. Mas sensitive
interpretation
ka sa
mo?
mga tao. Embrace your
Ay, parang
like yun
nawala
nga,
si Julie. Sandali.
hello?
Ikaw, Sky, ano tingin mo?
Hello? I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
I hear both of you guys loud and clear. You guys are good?
Yeah, I'm good. Paula
I
can hear
can't
me.
hear Julie right
I
now.
don't think Pau hears you, Julie.
Oh,
Really?
well, I don't know what to do. Pao, do you want to exit and then come in? We'll see if we can,
You want to come back and exit back
uh,
again?
Yeah, I
Pau?
yeah,
will do that.
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
BRB.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. So
So,
embrace your vulnerability and celebrate your flaws. It will let you appreciate the world around you and make you more compassionate. Because I guess when you're vulnerable, also you must open ka to empathy. Must open ka to those good emotions, and somehow dun mo ma-appreciate na maintindihan mo kasi yung flaws mo in a sense na you'll understand yourself more because you're opening yourself more. So
mhm.
that's my take on that. Hi, Pao. Are you here? Because we cannot see you. Can you, hear or see Pao?
No, I can't hear
No.
nor see Pau.
Okay. We'll wait again. We'll wait. So ikaw naman, Sky, can you share your, 2 cents on that?
I can't hear you, Julie.
Oh, shit.
Hello? Hi. So it's just me then.
Hello. Yes. Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Can
there
you
we
hear
go.
me? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Technical difficulties. Ah, ano lang natira?
Hello? I think we.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Are we
Sorry.
back? Because we're not
Yes.
sure. Like, are we back for good on the live?
Yeah, I could hear you both now.
But are we still back on the live?
I can't hear
Oh,
anyone.
yun! Sabi ko Ednes, yun. Are we back? Are we back? Are we
I'll
back?
exit. I'll exit and I'll come back.
Okay. It's so weird because, bigla lang siyang nagloko and we can't do
Yeah.
anything about it. But, shout out muna daw, Lawrence. Hi! Hi, Lawrence. So, hello sa'yo. Thank you for being here, Lawrence. And then we'll see.
There
Sky,
we
can
go.
you hear us? Can
Yes.
you
Good.
hear us?
We're good.
Yes. Okay, okay.
Yes.
So, guys, pinawisan ako
You're
dyan.
good
Mainit
na.
na.
Kaya ako ng konti.
Vulnerable situation. Ano ba?
Yes.
But anyways,
I like this setup, ha? Gusto ko to. Gusto ko to. Very in your
Uh,
face.
in your face. Hello, guys. Ayan. So,
are we back?
or ano nga, litong-lito. I think we're back. Can you tell us if we're
Yes.
back?
I think we're good.
Sabi ni
Are
Miguel
we
D,
good on your
we
end,
are good.
guys?
We are good. I don't,
Okay.
yeah. So, yun naman yung mga other quotes, and then maybe I'll just read it and then we'll see because I don't know if the screen share if ano. Here,
Mm,
if we are going to find our way out of shame and back to each other, vulnerability is the path and courage is the light.
Yeah.
courage is alive.
Mabigat siya. Yes, if
Mm,
we are going to find our way out of shame and back to each other. Let's say when you get angry, as simple as when you get angry at each other, and then sometimes, it's kind of shameful when you act out of anger. If you
Mm-hmm.
backtrack what you've done, it's kind of nakakahiya naman yung ginawa ko. Galit lang ako, di ba? Or something like that. So, vulnerability is the path and courage is the life. So yeah, you have to open yourself up again to that person and really
Mm-hmm.
apologize. You know what your intentions are. Watch your intent also.
Yeah.
Tingnan mo kung ano
Mm-hmm.
yung intention mo. And courage is the light. And that's why vulnerability cannot be equated to weakness in such a way because that's when you take courage, right? So
Yeah, it's the transition, I think. Like,
it's
because a lot of people, we live in shame of the things they've done in the past, the things, they've
mm,
said or done.
yeah,
And in order to get out of that shameful state, there has to be a process.
yeah.
That's like what the quote said, courage is a tunnel at the end of the light. And in order to achieve that courage, we have
The
to
courage
open
is the
ourselves
light.
up,
Yeah.
bring things to the open,
Mhm.
ipakita natin yung kung sino talaga tayo. Like, if we keep hiding things and denying what we've done, there's no growth, there's no learning. We're always going to be in the dark. So being vulnerable, it's being open to your flaws and admitting, yes,
Yeah.
I've done that. Ginawa ko yan before, pero iba na ako ngayon. And I think courage also is being able to accept what you can't change and move forward. And I think that's
Yes.
what's really important is what's tomorrow. For me, kasi what I've learned this week is let's not think of the past anymore. It's done. It's
Yeah.
thinking of the
Yeah.
past. It's just wasting your energy.
Yeah.
You just gotta
Parang ano ba,
move
for
forward.
your thoughts, if you need to think about the past because there's something that you need to backtrack and learn from, then go ahead. But you can't
Yes.
be always thinking about something and get stuck to it, and then it just ruins
Mhm.
your day. You're
Yes.
living in your head
Yeah.
and not in the
You're
present.
living in the past.
And you're living in your
Yeah.
head, di ba? Kasi,
And then
eh,
you learn
there's,
from it. You learn from the past
yeah,
experiences and then use it to move forward.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
At least you already know
At
what
the
you learned and ano
Yeah.
yung ayaw mo nang gawin.
Totoo. Itong next one is vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is our greatest measure of courage. Very mabigat. And I
Yeah.
agree. Oh my gosh, yes,
Mhm.
it's true. It's not about winning or losing. It's not about that. And the fact that we're on camera right now going live, even just spreading the the word of the good benefits of marijuana, that people should wake up from their sleep and break the stereotypes that they're all thinking about, just the fact that we're here doing that
Every
is
Saturday and
already, yeah,
Sunday.
it's already a
Mm-hmm.
measure of our courage. Na we know what's the other flip side of the coin, but
Mm.
we're doing this because we're passionate and we're about the cause. We want to help people. People should have access to the plant, if it's especially for medical purposes, diba?
Mhm.
So, what else can you say about that? Especially here na
And
it's
I
your
Um,
show
think
up. Yeah.
like what you've mentioned, like you've mentioned cannabis in the conversation.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like plus this is what we're really about. Being showing others the benefits of cannabis. So for me,
mhm.
when I do consume cannabis, when I smoke it, it puts me in the state wherein I'm more vulnerable to things, to ideas, to the environment, to my weaknesses, to my strengths. You just for me it gives me a sense of self. Like you're really introspecting within, like just looking in the inside, and really assessing everything and being in this state of openness to suggestion, open to change, open
Yes.
to suggest, to
Yeah.
recommendations
Open to
from
growth. Come
outside. For
on, be
there we go,
open to
room
growth.
for growth. It gives you room
Yes.
for growth.
Growth advocacy, guys. Our podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah. Tama.
So yeah, it just
Mhm.
relaxes you. I think that's one thing I would say, like physically. Like marijuana will just relax you physically
Diba?
so
It
that your
helps.
mind can do other things, right?
At humayin yung sitwasyon, calm
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So
And this one,
you're calm in the body, so you're more calm in the mind.
what about
Very.
this? How do you see this, Pao? Can you read this for everyone?
Yeah, so daring greatly means courage to be vulnerable. It means to show up and be seen, to ask for what you need, sorry,
That's
dyslexic.
okay.
To ask for what you need, to talk about how you're feeling, to have the hard
Yes.
conversations.
Yes, the
Medyo,
hard conversations, that's
medyo
the
hard
word.
na to eh, vulnerability.
Speaking of, the biro lang.
Like, last
Yeah.
year I went to court. It felt so vulnerable for me because, you know, I didn't want to be exposed to that person who did things, blah blah blah. But I had to be courageous
Mhm.
for my rights and
Mm-hmm.
for for the other people that I believe will have power with with the story that they know na someone fought for her rights, women's rights, human rights, and that person won. So
Mhm.
Yung gano'n, it's 'di ba, it's tama, it's measuring how courageous you are too when you're in a vulnerable situation. But then you have
Yeah.
to direct it nga in a good way kasi some people could have directed that vulnerable situation, yung iba pumatay. You get what I mean? Like, just the hard stuff. Yung iba, ginawa nila dahil kaya galit na galit sila, vulnerable na vulnerable sila, ginawa nila, gumawa sila ng sobrang sama, 'di ba?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess hindi ang para sa akin nun hindi hindi siya oh, Sky was ano pala, gone, sorry.
Got booted
So,
out.
Yeah, so hindi siya parang,
Ayan.
um, you get what I mean? Like, I sorry, I got lost when Sky joined. What just said, but
Yung
kumbaga,
courage.
yeah, so yung
I can't
yung
hear it.
doing the bad
Hindi
things,
it
you
speak.
can't hear. We can hear you.
Just the regular one.
Yeah, we can hear her.
She'll
Sky,
be
can
back.
you hear
There
us
she is.
now? No,
Can you
I
hear us?
muted. It's okay. She muted lang. So she'll probably be back. She's trying to
Okay.
fix. Hello, Sky. Just speak when you can. So ikaw pa,
Mm.
what do you think pa about that? Especially the hard
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah, so with kasi nabanggit kanina about usage of marijuana, no. I guess everybody, I guess most of our viewers now know na kayong dalawa ni Sky are cannabis users, as ako hindi. Um, so having a hard conversation and it means to show up and be seen is what really resonated me on this quote. Kasi ako, naniniwala ako and I really give importance and emphasis on mental health. Mental health awareness talaga yung gusto ko talagang iparating sa maraming tao.
Yes.
It's not something that we need to, na parang wag natin pag-usapan. Kasi minsan yung ibang tao hindi talaga pinag-uusapan ng mental health.
Yeah.
And I know kung ano yung benefits talaga ng cannabis in terms of mental health.
Yeah.
Um, to show for me to show up every Saturday with you ladies and with all of our viewers is I'm putting myself in a vulnerable state
Yeah.
talaga. Kasi I'm sure hindi maiintindihan lahat ng tao na, oh, bakit siya nandyan? Eh, hindi naman siya, alam mo yun, hindi naman siya gumagamit ng cannabis, hindi naman siya marijuana user. So, ano ang say niya sa ganitong klaseng topic?
So, for medical cannabis and all. Yeah.
Oo, like, what can she contribute in this kind of conversation? So, I mean, I'm aware na may mga ganong sasabihin. And having a hard conversation with my mom, like, kasi si mama, kailangan baby step ko siya kinakausap parate. Na, ma, ito yung, alam mo, ina-educate ko siya every
Yes.
day as much as possible of what kind of use ang meron ang medical marijuana in terms of like, sa health ng isang tao. So,
Mm.
having that kind of conversation and trying to explain other folks na even though I'm not a cannabis user, I know kung paano siya nakakatulong. Bakit? Dahil I have friends who are using this plant because kailangan nila medically. Hindi
Yeah.
lang recreationally. I mean, it's so easy to have fun, you know. And even though they use it recreationally, wala. I mean, nandun lang naman sila, tambay lang. Like they just hang out, watch movies and just eat. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yun naman din yung side effect ng ng
Yeah.
cannabis is like you eat, right? But yeah, so like I said, it means to show up and be seen because I really, really want to let everybody know now we need to take care of ourselves. Mental health is super important because it
That's
is
true.
connected to our body talaga. What you think is how you would react, 'di ba?
Mm.
So important healthy ang mindset ng isang tao. So,
Tama.
yeah, yun naman.
Etong next naman is what most of us fail to understand is that vulnerability is also the cradle of the emotions and experiences that we crave. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
That's also a nice message.
Yeah.
Kasi totoo. So, that's yun tama ka. So, when it comes to mental health, where are you going to focus your mindset?
Yeah.
Where you're gonna put your mindset on, and then dalhin niyo sa ano, there are negative traits, there are positive traits, dalhin natin sa mas makakabuti para sa panlahatan, which is love, belonging, yun nga,
Yeah.
empathy, connections, and all that.
Yeah. Tsaka
And
yung
Sky,
creativity
are
talaga.
you back, Sky? I'm just checking. You're on
Okay.
mute. Yes.
There we go.
Yes,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
Yay!
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And for the next one here, Sky, can you further explain this one?
So it's much easier to say I don't give a damn than it's to say I'm hurt by Bryn Brown. That's true. Like instead of really feeling or really admitting your mistakes or admitting to something, would just deflect and just move, and not deal with the problem. And that's the problem, I think, when we don't deal with the hurt,
That's true.
we don't make ourselves vulnerable to, to feeling hurt and to really allowing ourselves to heal. You just shut it off and just push it aside, and it doesn't get addressed, and it'll
Mm-hmm.
come out in the future as something else na
Yeah.
nakakasakit pala ng ibang tao, that we should have already addressed it sa ano pa lang, sa beginning pa lang. So
Addressing
vulnerability
your
has its
weakness.
vulnerability has its use in this situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to courage naman, Nelson Mandela said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So, yeah.
Mm.
And how do you actually conquer that fear and be courageous? Where do you actually get that strength? Nasa sa atin po yun. Depende po
Mhm.
sa atin yun. And I hope that where we are focusing our hearts and our minds, if we really
Mhm.
want to take care of our mental health, our overall health, then we have
Mhm.
to direct it in such a way that we cannot be all selfish.
Mhm.
There's a certain
Yeah.
balance. I get that we also need to take care of ourselves. That's very, very true. But there's a certain balance that we also have to take care of others.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So aside from that, like watch where your intent is. Ano yung
Mhm.
intention mo? Like
Mm-hmm.
for sa politika, for example, yung iba tutulong pero gusto lang nandun yung pangalan nila. Ano ba talagang intention mo? Bakit ka lumalabas sa isang programa, sasabihin mo ganito, ganyan, pero sa likod nun hindi ka gano'n? Ano ba talagang intention mo?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
watch over that intent also
Mhm.
because we have to be courageous to jump to growth. Yung yung kumbaga ayusin natin yung pagkatao natin,
Mhm.
magtulungan tayo. And at the
Yeah.
same time, medical marijuana is real, guys. It's not as, "Uy, wala namang gano'n, imbento 'yan, addict, drugs," ganyan. It's like nasa 2021 na po tayo, matagal na po itong ginagamit bilang isang healing agent sa tao, sa mga, dating naninirahan pa sa mundong ito, in the old times, they're already using this as medicine.
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm.
that's what gives me courage kasi alam ko hindi ako nag-iisa, nandito kayo, Sky,
Mm-hmm.
Paula, marami tayo at marami na ring mulat, and kung magsanib-sanib pa yung mga lahat ng mulat at lahat ng bumangon na sa kama nila, kasi there are people who know about it, are awake about it, but are not really doing anything about it. But if we can all be courageous enough to get ourselves moving with our
Mm-hmm.
one goal, 'di ba? Medical marijuana for the Philippines, allow that access to be granted for safe and legal access, and then come up with a very good policy. But before that, Philippines, you have to please update RA Republic Act that's saying that cannabis is part of the most dangerous drugs with heroin and opium. I mean, and meth. Yeah.
And
So
then,
those things, hindi po nandun ang cannabis. So paki-update po yun because
Yes.
2020 December again, the United Nations already updated the and the World Health
yung,
Organization already updated the policy with regards to the dangerous drugs and the marijuana
Mm-hmm.
schedule of drug. Yes. So,
mhm.
yun lang.
Yeah. It's just a plant, guys. It's that's it.
Yeah.
Halaman lang siya.
So I'm more of like looking at the bigger picture.
Mhm.
Yeah, na parang we're not forcing everyone, but it's just that realizing that what year is it right now? Like we're in the, 21st century,
Yeah.
2021 na. And then the World Health Organization already revised their policies. So Philippines
Oo,
need
please
to come up with something.
update nyo rin yung sa inyo.
Yeah.
I
So,
know.
and I think also like for us as advocates, as we should also have the courage, to put ourselves out there. Yun nga, I know that this is a very vulnerable state we're in. It's very new to others. A lot of people still don't know what we're really, what cannabis really is and what's it about. So, I thank you, ladies, for having the courage to do this with us. That that we're doing something to change, to make change.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
thank you nga pala sa mga viewers namin. And let's show their comments ulit. Si Jonas, spread the truth. I love assembly. Thank you. Si Ate Marte, love yourself and do things that make you happy in life.
That's
Totoo
right.
naman. Ate.
Yes. So
Unahing mahalin
yan.
ang sarili natin.
That's right.
Boba, milk tea.
Yes. Be kind to ourselves, di ba? Oo. So, ito si Eve. Eve?
San.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry na.
Good morning. I'm SNTLN. Si
Arvin
Arvin.
Bacoro Francisco.
Dami niyang ano, ta 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 ta.
Oo. And then, ito. Cabrera Renmel. Modern physics na tayo tapos na ang panahon ng witchcraft. Yeah. Modern
Yung,
physics. Mm. Okay.
Anong ginagawa mo?
Oo.
witchcraft daw eh.
Which is
Oy!
kayo? So, sakay ka ba ng broom? Ano
Pinagsasabi
nga?
mo. Nakita mo ba
Ano yun?
yung broom ko sa likod?
Ganun pala yung witch.
Ganun.
Pero
May
totoo
sombrero.
naman na kumbaga ang isa side comment ko kay Cabrera Romel, pagdating sa modern physics, idadaan ko na lang sa, oo, marami ng modern studies about medical marijuana. So please, i-research nyo yun para lahat
Yes.
tayo, gising tayo, alam natin and action na natin. Di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Tama yun.
Sky, can you read this last quote for the day? The Man in the Arena by Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's do
Okay.
this. All right. The Man in the Arena. Okay. Lakihan natin kasi. There we go. Shucks. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
It is not the critic who counts. It is the man who points out how the strong
Not
man
the man.
stumbles.
Sorry.
Not Yeah,
Not the
tama
man.
naman, not the man. Or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives blatantly,
Valiant.
who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms with great devotions, who spends himself in worthy cause, who is the best known in the end in the triumph of high achievements, and who is at the worst if he fails. At least he fails while daring greatly, and at his place shall never be
Those.
with those who cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So at least he tried. And you try
Mhm.
again.
Yes, and also the thing is, maraming critics out there, but not every criticism really matters. You get what I mean? The ones you focus on, alam mo naman kung himayin mo to the point na alamin mo kung ano lang yung importanteng comment sa buhay mo, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Don't make it to a point na lahat na lang ng comment ng tao like apektado ka. So, yun naman, minsan mahirap yun kasi we all have egos, we all have, reactive egos, 'di ba? To other
Mm-hmm.
people na hindi pa nila masyado nati-train yung pagte-tame ng ego at ano,
Mhm.
extreme ego triggers, 'di ba? But, we're also aiming for yun nga na
Yeah.
magising yung mga tao and help yourselves too. Sabi
Yeah.
pala ni Ate Marte, when it comes to sa weed naman, wala naman po sigurong masama gumamit ng medical marijuana kung marunong po kayo magdala. Tama ka diyan, Ate Marte, kasi ako 'pag puwede akong gumamit ng marijuana the whole day, gagamit ako ng marijuana the whole day, pero marunong akong magdala. 'Pag 'Pag feeling ko na parang, oops, nawawala na yung ano ba, like nawawala nate-take over ako ng ano ko, ng side effects ng pagiging high, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Then I would also control myself kasi, we have to be responsible also. Lalo na kung nasa isang sitwasyon ako wherein I need to be present and connect with other people in a sense na, I have to analyze a lot of stuff in my head. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm
Mm-hmm.
at work, I don't use marijuana. So, yun naman, something like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I use medical marijuana if I can for the whole day, if I can. But I train myself not to do it at work. And I don't do it at work at all because it's not good for my
Yeah.
performance. So, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
Marunong
it's
magdala.
just I think it's just knowing yourself, like knowing
Yeah.
how it affects you, knowing hanggang minsan. I mean,
Know yourself.
yeah, know yourself. So, 'di ba, pag na-over tayo ng alcohol, 'di ba, we all know the side effects of
Yeah.
drunkenness. It's not a good sight.
Yeah.
Pero pag na-over ka naman sa cannabis, like,
Iba naman
siguro
yun.
the worst thing you can do is like fall
Just
asleep or,
rest for a while. Yeah, you
rest
should
or
probably rest.
but wala pong namatay or walang namatay sa
Just be
sa
responsible.
Yeah.
overuse. So, just be
Well,
responsible and know your schedule, 'di ba?
yeah.
Yeah.
Wala akong nakitang marijuana users na nagbasag dahil high. Lasing
Sige,
lang
Wow,
eh.
ano,
tama,
no?
tama, louder pala. Tama, totoo
Totoo.
naman 'yan. Totoo talaga 'yan.
Si Paula na yan, guys.
Tapos
Mahusay
Pao
na yan.
nagsabi, ayan
Sabi na yan.
yung mga friend, wala kang
Ano?
basagerong friends, Pao. Di pa kami gano'n, ah.
Kapitbahay ko yun.
But yun, grabe, thank you so much. Yun ang aming topic for the day. And nakalipas na, isang oras na rin kami. Thank you sa mga viewers. And I hope na may maganda kayong napulot na whatever. Na good vibes kahit yun man lang, di ba? So thank you so much. And tandaan natin na when it comes to vulnerable situation, let's all have positive thoughts, good
Mm-mm.
intentions, and be courageous about going forward with
Yes,
those good intentions backing you up, and
that's right. Keep
compassion,
moving
love.
forward.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and
Know
yeah,
yourself.
yun. Thank you. Yes,
Thank you,
and
guys. See you again next
next uh,
Saturday,
Saturday, California,
California, 6
6
p.m.
p.m. and Sunday, Philippines, 9 a.m. Our next topic is about addiction and connection. So yeah.
All right, see
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We're
Bye-bye.
Menage à Trois.
We
Bye-bye.
See you
are
next week.
Ménage
Menage à
à
Menage à
Trois.
Trois.
See you
trois.
guys.
Bye.